The Sunday school lessons for June 22nd, 2025 are Isaac calls on the name of the Lord and digging your own well. Genesis chapter 26, verses 24 through 33. Welcome, viewers and subscribers, to my channel, Read With Me. I am Audrey. If you are new here, please know that this is an audio reading of the lesson with intermittent commentary. Verse 24. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. After facing conflicts over water rights, Isaac departed for Beersheba, where Abraham and the previous Philistine king had made a covenant. Beersheba is located roughly 75 miles southwest of modern-day Jerusalem at the northern tip of the Negev Desert. In this stressful situation, the Lord intervened to comfort Isaac. The Lord identified himself as the God of your father Abraham, emphasizing Isaac's heritage. God highlighted Isaac's unique role as he offered encouragement to Isaac. The expression, do not be afraid, sometimes appears in Scripture's accounts of angelic appearances. In this case, the admonition likely targeted Isaac's fear of his circumstances. Isaac did not need to fear. God promised to remain with Isaac and bless him as God would increase the number of his descendants. These promises and the encouragement are similar to the ones God made to Abraham. The explanatory phrase, for the sake of my servant Abraham, highlights why Isaac received the blessing, giving him reason to trust in God. The stipulations of God's covenant with Abraham transcended generational boundaries, benefiting Isaac and his descendants. If Isaac doubted whether God would show concern, he could rely on the fact that God would honor his previous promises to Abraham. Verse 25. Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Both Abraham and Isaac built altars as places for sacrifice and prayer. Abraham built an altar to mark off the territory of Canaan for his family and to create memorials in the places where God had appeared. Isaac's son Jacob would also build an altar. An altar was more than a pile of rough stones. It was a holy place, a holy spot, a marker of the connection between the divine and human space, and a place of access to God. People often use the same altar for generations, even centuries. At this altar, Isaac called on the name of the Lord for protection and guidance and made this location his home as he pitched his tent there. Apparently, there was no easily accessible water source like a stream or spring at this location. To address this shortcoming, Isaac's servants dug a well. The act of digging a well was a source of tension that had led Isaac to this location. Although Isaac was the recipient of covenantal promises, he continued to face practical challenges. Water was hard to come by. Verse 26. Meanwhile, Abimelek had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzah, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Abimelek and the Gerarites opposed Isaac partly because of his deception regarding his wife Rebekah. Their king had complained, one of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us. They presumed that the God of Isaac would have punished them if they violated his wife, even accidentally. The people from Gerar had proved to be fearsome defenders of their water resources. They closed Abraham's wells, a hostile act that risked destroying Isaac's flocks, throwing him into poverty, or perhaps even killing him. The narrative implies that Isaac had headed toward Beersheba to escape this conflict. However, the conflict seemed to be following Isaac. Abimelek brought two of his highest officials. The designation personal advisor refers to the king's associates, like a modern day presidential cabinet. This verse is the only mention in the Bible of an individual named Ahuzah. The name Phicol likely has its roots in the Egyptian language, a reminder that the region of Gerar was located on the edge of Egyptian territory where other powerful rulers lived. Verse 27, Isaac asked him, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" Isaac's question implied both surprise and fear upon seeing the unexpected visitor. The mistreatment Isaac had faced at the hands of Abimelech's men had forced him to leave Gerar. The word hate can refer to a feeling of animosity towards someone else. In this context, however, it probably refers to the aggressive actions of Abimelech and his people against Isaac's household. Although Abimelech had a positive relationship with Abraham, the Philistines treated Isaac with disdain and had pushed him out of their territory. Isaac was left wondering what reason Abimelech could have had for pursuing him to Beersheba. Verse 28, they answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you." But Abimelech and his advisors had not come to make trouble for Isaac. On the contrary, they were afraid of him and the power of the Lord. Isaac's abundant harvest and the rapid growth of his wealth had convinced them that Isaac enjoyed divine favor. Their admission that the Lord was with Isaac does not mean that they had become followers of one true God of Abraham and Isaac. Many people of the ancient Near Eastern world believed that numerous gods existed, and a wise person would avoid offending the most powerful gods and the people under the protection of those gods. Isaac's blessings were rightly perceived as evidence of God's power and favor on Isaac. Rather than offend Isaac and earn the wrath of God, Abimelech and his people attempt to make peace with them both. To that end, Abimelech suggested that they swear an agreement with one another. The word translated treaty is the same Hebrew word as covenant. The connection between sworn agreements and covenants lie in the mechanics of covenant making. The two sides put a covenant into effect by swearing an oath. The oath was a conditional curse to place on oneself if one of the parties to the agreement broke it. The potential curses could be elaborate, as seen in the list of curses threatened against Israel in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68. Thus, Abimelech spoke in the technical language of ancient diplomacy when he proposed this arrangement with Isaac. This type of agreement is called a parity treaty, which means a commitment between two equal parties. While the Philistines had previously envied and disrespected Isaac, they now treated him with the honor expected for someone with equal social status. Verse 29, that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you are blessed by the Lord. This verse outlines the content of the oath Abimelech wishes them to make. He asked Isaac to do us no harm, which could refer to taking military action against the people of Gerar. But after Abimelech's assertions about Isaac's divine favor, and also seeing that he called Isaac blessed by the Lord, Abimelech's fear was more likely that Isaac would appeal to God for their destruction. As a basis for this request, Abimelech claimed that he and his men had not harmed Isaac. Instead, they had done only good to him and sent him away peacefully. Abimelech's words appear one sided, as Isaac had left Gerar after experiencing mistreatment by the people living there. There are two possible explanations for Abimelech's claims. First, Abimelech might have referred to his immediate intentions right then and there. He was not attacking Isaac or acting in any manner other than kindness toward him. Second, Abimelech could have been asking Isaac to dismiss the prior behavior of Abimelech's people. In either case, the ruler of Gerar asked Isaac for peace between them. Thus, in a surprising display of divine providence, Isaac's enemies suddenly became his friends. Verse 30. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Isaac turned to hospitality toward his new allies and friends. The feast cemented their new relationship. In most ancient cultures, feasting was a tool for building alliances, whether at marriages, funerals, major holidays, or the beginning of business partnerships. Additionally, covenant ceremonies sometimes included a ritual meal. Exodus 24:11 notes that the leaders of Israel ate and drank in God's presence after the ritual sacrifice and sprinkling with the blood of the covenant. In the New Testament era, the practice of communion instituted by Jesus combines a meal with a covenant with its reference to Christ's blood of the new covenant. Therefore, by serving a meal, Isaac showed his guests the expected courtesy. The feast also completed the ritual that bound them together in peace. Verse 31. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. The next day saw the final parts of their ceremony of alliance making. The parties of the covenant swore their oaths to each other, asking God to hold them to account if they should break them. To go away peacefully means not just that they avoided immediate conflict, but they also anticipate a continuing positive relationship with one another. The Hebrew word translated as peacefully is shalom, which has a wide array of meanings, including wholesome, good health, or even success. It is a favorite term that the prophets of Israel and Judah used to reflect a vision of restored order and community. Isaac sent Abimelech away with their conflict fully resolved. Verse 32. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We found water." That day sets the context as being immediately after Abimelech's party left. The result is that Isaac would have the impression that finding water was a sign of God's blessing and covenant fidelity. As if one blessing for the day was not enough, God also addressed the immediate need of Isaac and his family for survival. Verse 33. He called it Sheba, and to this day the name of the town has been Beersheba. The name Sheba sounds like the Hebrew word for oath. It is joined to the Hebrew word translated well to become a new name, Beersheba. This account explains the origins of a major Israelite town, one still occupied today as a location of divine blessings. The town became a reminder of the covenants that Isaac and his father Abraham had made that forged justice and peace between neighbors. The designation points to the hope of peace between enemies and stands as an image of God's faithfulness to Abraham's family. Thank you so much for listening. Join me soon for the next reading of the Sunday School lesson with intermittent commentary.